Welcome, dear students. I hope you all are fine. Today we are going to start with our second chapter of science, the living world. Before we start, let us discuss the learning objectives of today's topic. At the end of this module, you will be able to recognize that the diversity of things around us are either living or non-living. You will be able to explain the characteristics of living things that non-living things do not have. The following are the characteristics of living things: growth, respiration, excretion, responsiveness to stimuli, movement, reproduction, cellular structure. Children, in this module we are going to learn about growth, respiration and excretion in detail. We come across living and non-living things daily in our life. Sometimes it is easy to differentiate between living and non-living things, but many times it is little difficult. There are few differences and factors between these two which make living things different from non-living things. Living things, as per the name, are live and active. They move, they grow, and they respond to stimuli. Some of the examples of living things around us are plants, animals, and other human beings. Non-living things do not grow, do not move, and they do not reproduce. Some of the examples of non-living things are table, cupboard, chair, books, etc. Everything that surrounds us is either living or non-living, and the only characteristic that bifurcates the two is life. Let us discuss the difference between living and non-living things. Living things are made up of cells, while non-living things are not made up of cells. Living things show movement by different body parts, while non-living things show movement by taking external force. Living things require food, while non-living things do not require food. Growth in living thing is irreversible. That means you cannot change from adult to child again. Growth in non-living things is reversible. That is, you can change the shape of the object as per your choice. Respiration in living things occurs in which food is oxidized to release energy. Living things use different organs for the respiration process, while non-living things do not require respiration. Reproduction occurs in living things. Non-living things do not reproduce. Excretion takes place in living things. Living things use specific organs for excretion process, while non-living things do not excrete. Death occurs in living things, while non-living things do not die. So children, let's discuss each and every characteristics in detail. There are certain distinctive characteristics by which we try to define living. The characteristics includes growth, respiration, excretion, responsiveness to stimuli, movement, reproduction, and cellular structure. Let us discuss these characteristics in detail. Let us discuss first characteristics of living things, growth. All living things grow and develop. Growth is the permanent, irreversible increase in the size of an organism. This feature is observed in all organisms, accompanied by several metabolic processes. Living things mature and grow through different stages of development. Development is the sequence of the events that occur in the life history of a cell organ or organism. Growth in plants. In plants, the seed germinate and develop into a new seedling, which finally develops into an adult plant. Plant displays indefinite growth. Growth continues throughout the life of the plant. Here, the growth involves increases in the number of parts. Growth takes place during definite seasons. For example, annuals require one growing season. Biennials require two growing seasons, while perennials plants require many years to live. Growing pattern is distinct in each species. Plants possess well-defined growing regions. A seedling does not resemble an adult plant. Growth is by addition of new parts ahead or around the older one. Growth in animals. Growth takes place for definite periods before maturity. Here, it does not involve increase in the number of parts. Each species has a distinct season for growth. Growing pattern is absent. They have no such defined growing regions like plants. The young ones are identical to adults except in the body size. Growth is diffused by all around increases in different organs of the body. Growth in human beings. A baby grows up to become an adult person, that is, woman or man. During the period of growth, the baby gains in physical characteristics such as weight, height, and strength. Living things mature and grow through different stages of development. Human beings require 18 to 21 years for this growth. You can see here on the screen how a baby grows up to become an adult person. But this is an irreversible permanent increase in size of an organ or its parts or even of an individual cell. As we have seen, growth is most fundamental characteristics of living organism. Food is necessary for growth. Plants make their own food in sunlight. Organisms that make its own food from its environment are called autotrophs. Plants produce food from water, nutrients in the soil, and the carbon dioxide present in the air. This process takes place in the leaves of plants. It is brought about in the presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll in the leaves. Plants make their food through process of photosynthesis. Photon means light and synthesis means putting together. Therefore, photosynthesis is the process by which green plants with the help of chlorophyll turn CO2 and water into food using the energy from the sunlight. Plant gives out oxygen during the process of photosynthesis. Plants appear mainly green in color due to the chlorophyll pigment present in them. Intake of food by animals. Organisms that has to obtain its food from another organism are called heterotrophs. For example, all animals, insects. Animals, however, do not have chlorophyll. They do not produce their own food. They search for food. Animals such as goats, sheep, horse eat grass, while wild animals such as tigers and lions meet their need for food by hunting other animals which live on plants. Therefore, the intake of food and the resultant growth is an important characteristic of living things. Let us learn next characteristics of living things: respiration. All living things breathe. Respiration is the process by which energy is released from food in our body. The function of respiratory system is to breathe in oxygen for respiration, producing energy from food, and to breathe out carbon dioxide. Here on the screen you can see the picture of respiratory system. With the help of lungs, gases are exchanged between the blood and the air. Gases exchanged are oxygen and carbon dioxide. We can live without food and water for many days, but we cannot live for more than a few minutes without air, as it is necessary for breathing. Children, we know humans breathe, animals breathe, but do plants also breathe? Yes, of course. Plants breathe as well. We may not be able to see the process of respiration in plants, but it is happening. The plants get energy by the process of respiration, in which glucose food breaks down in the presence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. Plants take oxygen from air for respiration and give out carbon dioxide. So just like animals, respiration in plants also involves the exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Respiration in plants takes place by leaves through tiny pores on their surface, which are called stomata. The respiration in roots of plants occurs by the exchange of gases through the root hairs. The basic process of respiration is similar in all living organisms. Earthworm, leeches, tapeworms use their skin for the exchange of gases. All the insects have tiny holes on the sides of their body, which are called spiracles. The insects like grasshopper, cockroaches, mosquitoes, houseflies, bees also have spiracles and trachea for breathing and respiration. A majority of aquatic animals like fish and prawns breathe through special organs called gills. Amphibians, mammals, and birds exchange gases through special respiratory organs called lungs. Like animals, plants do not have a special organ for excretion. They excrete through their vegetative parts only. Oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis, which is excreted from the leaves of plants. Excess water is excreted as water vapor by the process of transpiration. Plants store their some of the excretory products in leaves and get rid of that by losing them. Some of the plants store their excretory product as resins, gums, latex, oils, etc. in stems, leaves and bark. Eventually, plants shed off their parts and thus excretion occurs. Plants produces secondary metabolites that are not used by plants but used by animals such as alkaloids. Alkaloids are the nitrogenous compound stored in different parts of the plant. It is used as medicine, sedatives and insecticides. Excretion in aquatic plant takes place through diffusion method. Children, let's have a quick recap of what we have studied today. There are two different kinds of things in the world. One kind is called living things. Living things eat, breathe, grow, move, reproduce and have senses. The other kind is called non-living things. Non-living things do not eat, breathe, grow, move and reproduce. They do not have senses. Then we have studied about the characteristics of living things. Characteristics is the quality belonging to something. Living things have characteristics like growth, respiration, excretion, responsiveness to stimuli and movement, reproduction and cellular structure. Then we have studied the first characteristics, growth. Growth is a permanent, irreversible increase in the size of an organism. This feature is observed in all organisms, accompanied by several metabolic processes. In plants, the seed germinate and develop into a new seedling which finally develops into an adult plant. Plants shows indefinite growth. Then we have studied the next characteristics, respiration. Respiration is the process by which energy is released from food in our body. The function of respiratory system is to breathe in oxygen for respiration, producing energy from food, and to breathe out carbon dioxide. Living things like human beings and animals use specific organs for the process of respiration. While respiration in plants takes place by leaves through tiny pores on their surface, which are called Stomata. The respiration in roots of plants occurs by the exchange of gases, oxygen and CO2 through the root hairs. Let us discuss some questions from exercise. What helps the following living things to breathe? A fish uses gills for breathing. A snake uses external nares for breathing. A crane, which is a bird, uses their nostrils to breathe. An earthworm breathes through the skin. Man breathes through nose. A banyan tree breathes through microscopic pores on their leaves. And a caterpillar uses tiny holes on their body known as spiracles for breathing purpose. Let us discuss next question. What are the differences and similarities between plants and animals? Although plants and animals are living things, still they have some differences between their characteristics. Plants can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis, so they are called autotrophs, while animals cannot make their own food. They are dependent upon the plants and other animals for their food. Therefore, animals are called heterotrophs. Plants show movement but cannot show locomotion. Locomotion means the ability to move. Plants cannot move from one place to another place, while animals show movement as well as locomotion. Plants show response to stimuli, but they lack of sense organs, while animals show response to stimuli and they have well-developed sense organs. Plants grow throughout their life, while animals stop growing once they reach their adult form. Now, let's see the similarities between them. Plants and animals both show vital processes. Vital means very important processes like growth, reproduction, respiration, and excretion. So, children, read the chapter thoroughly and learn the characteristics of living things which we have studied in this module. We will meet again in the next module. Till then, take care of yourself and enjoy learning science. Thank you.